Hello, good afternoon to one and all. Good afternoon, participant. Today we will study a topic which is based on storage, post harvesting storage, and protection strategies for the medicinal plants. So, just look some of the important point regarding with the medicinal plants and its global values, and then we will come back to our today's topic of discussions. So let's see, this is the global demands of medicinal plant as listed by the WHO. You can see it's constantly growing right from 2000s. You can see it right from 2000s to 2050. So it is expected in 2050. So how it goes to run. So it means that as per WHO, global market value for the herbal industries is expected to be reached at $5 trillion in 2050. Okay, the global market growth for the industries is expected to be 7% per annum from 2000 to 2050. You can see here how the graph is increases. So it is required for entire world, for entire globe. Then okay, just a minute. Okay, status of medicinal plants in India. So you can see here, this is the map of the India, and these are the interesting fact which we have listed here. So 20 agroecological zones are there in the overall India as it is to be shown in the map, along with the registered number. One of the 17 mega biodiversity countries. India is one of the 17 mega biodiversity countries. 12% of the world biodiversity. It counts for the 12% of the world biodiversity. About 900 species used in ISM and folk medicine. 1172 species in a trade, of which 242 with consumptions greater than 100 metric ton. 40% of the species in high demand, sourced through cultivation, means coverage 0.3 million hectare, and large network of institutions and university involved in the medicinal plants research and development. So this is the facts and figure regarding with the Indian contributions as far as medicinal plants are concerned. Then demand of medicinal plants from the health sector. About 2500 plant species are used in all the codified systems of medicinal practices in India. Okay, so you can see here in the pie diagram, you can see how much of them are utilized for Ayurveda, then Siddha, then Unani, then Rigpa, then homeopathy, and then in Western countries also. So now the maximum has been reported in Ayurveda. You can see here. Okay, demand of raw herbal drugs, and this is the growth trends. So as the decade are passes, we can see here clearly the demand in metric tons. So estimated demand during 2014 and 15, it is expected to be 5 lakh 12,000 metric ton, as study is carried out by ICFRE. So demand is constantly increasing. Then gross volume for foreign trade of botanical raw drugs. So you can see here how much it contributes. So as the year proceed, the export values are also going to be inclined in terms of the metric tons. Supply of raw herbal drugs from cultivations. You can see the cultivation is also increases, and in the graph you can see in 2014-15, 40% cultivation is up to the mark, as which we have compared a decade before, which is only up to 20%. Okay, so you can see here the medicinal plant species like isabgol, then Hina, then Sena, then Mentha, Tulsi, Ashwagandha, Aloe, Pipri, then People Mool. Okay, you can see here. Then Bach, Artemisia, Vetuke, Kuth has been cultivated across the country. Okay, medicinal plant source from cultivation. So this is the plants obtained from cultivations. Plantago ovata, called as isabgul, then aloe vera, kumari, then sena, alexandria, which is sonpatta, which is again a herb, and this is the demand in the another column, demand in a metric ton. Okay, you can see here this demand in metric ton. Withania somnifera, ashwagandha, piper longum. Okay, so you can see the list of the plants with their common name, its nature, and how much it is demand in metric tons. Then this is what our today's topic basically regarding the collection and the harvesting. So medicinal plants should be harvested sustainably. Sustainability is a principle that has been used for centuries in a forestry and in the management of natural resources. It is a system that meets the need of the present without compromising the ability of future generation. This includes the timing of harvesting, material to be harvested, harvesting technique, harvesting equipment, and storage. Then this is how when to harvest. So if the plant part is a bulb, bark, root and rhizome, leaves, flowers, seeds and fruit, or annual herb or whole plant, then we have different strategies to harvest it. If a plant is a bulb, so basically we have to prefer to harvest it in a late autumn, long after the plant has flowered and fruit. Bulb should be dug from the considerable distance from the main plant. Collect mature big bulb and leave small bulb for regeneration. Bulbs or roots should be collected only after the seed shading unless otherwise specified. It facilitates regeneration of the species. Okay, it will help for the regeneration of the species. If it is a bark, autumn, after leaf fall, or spring before the development of leaves, you can harvest it. Remove the bark in a long vertical strip using a thin flexible blade or a bush knife. Stem bark should not be collected again from the same tree unless adequate time has been allowed for it to regenerate completely. Do not practice ring barking, which is the cut of entire ring around the tree. Then root and rhizome from annual shortly before flowering, from biennial during the autumn or winter following the first year growth, from perennial during autumn or winter following the second year or third year growth. Then dig the root at a considerable distance at least 30 centimeter from the main stem or tap root. Avoid avoid saving of the tap root. Do not collect all roots from the plant. Collect only the lateral roots. Leaves, if suppose it is a leaves, collection should be made in a dry weather uh, while the plant is flowering. Pluck individual leaves instead of leaf stripping, and avoid the use of sharp pruning shears for leaf. Uh, then collection in the morning is providing quality products in some plants. Okay, so leaves should be harvested before or at the time before or at the time of initiation of flowering unless otherwise specified. Okay, so if it is a flower, so collection should be made in a dry weather or in early hours of the day after dew has dissipated. Harvest flower carefully without damaging the plant main stem. Flower must be harvested when they just open or shortly afterward to capture its aroma. If it is a seed or fruit, collection should be made when fruits are fully grown and ripe or nearly ripe until otherwise it is required. To avoid the seed dispersal, it is advantageous to collect slightly earlier. In forest area, only collect fruits from some trees and leave others completely for regeneration. Branches of the tree or shrub should not cut for ease of collection of fruits or seed. Annual herb, if it is an annual herb or whole plants, what we can do, annual herb should be harvested at the time of initiation of flowering. Whole populations in a given area should be harvested. Adequate population should be left for regenerations to facilitate the future collection. Okay. When to harvest? So this is the list of the plant with their common name, their botanical name, the part which we can use, month in which we can harvest it, and then major active ingredient which are present in. Uh, so Arjuna, Ashwagandha, Birch, Behera, Bala, Bhel, Belva, Bahu, Onla, Brahmi, these are the list of the plant. You can see their major active ingredient, okay, and these are the months in which you can harvest it. Okay, so then here also the list is continue here again. You can see it. This is again the list. What to harvest? Be sure that you can identify the plants that you intended to harvest. You must be sure with your aim to harvest it. Okay, so do not harvest the plant material that is infested with fungal growth or poisonous byproduct. Okay, or if it is having an unwanted mixture, so left it. Otherwise, harvest the material in its pure form. How to harvest? Gather only the plants that are abundant in that area. Be conscientiously about leaving a healthy population behind. Okay. Then take special care with leaves or flower which are much more vulnerable to deterioration than the roots due to the nature of their issues. Avoid any unnecessary damage to the plant, that is exercise cautions to enable the plants can regrow. Avoid mechanical damage to the harvested material that results in the undesirable quality changes. Identify and discard unwanted plant material during harvesting. This is to ensure that no foreign matter, weed or toxic plants are mixed with the harvesting medicinal plant material. Put different plant material in different container, so that is very important. You can see here how we can consider this collection as far as quality consideration. It should be botanically intact, it should be a healthy plant, it should be the harvesting at the right stage, weather condition should be proper, right places we have to put them, and sorting after the harvesting, so sorting should be proper. Then environmental considerations, conservation status, what should be the conservation status of this plant. Then if it is a sensitive species, we have to look much more care for that. Then allow some of the plant stock back for the regeneration. Harm to the source plant, that should be avoided. We have to maintain the habitat of that plant, and then we have to keep the distributions properly for that plant. Collection. uh, so social consideration, as far as if we consider, so they must be of having higher local uses. It must be of having fair pricing. The benefit should be there for sharing. Health status of the collector and cultural value should be there. Then how can we collection of a under, just you can see the slide, and you can take a screenshot of that, so that I can come back again on this slide. Okay, so I think every one of you taken the screenshot of that. That is very important. Collection of underground parts. So you can see here, the collection of underground parts. Under that, we are having a roots. Basically, the roots of an annual plant must be dug when the plants are well developed and matured. Roots of perennial should be harvested late in the fall or early in the spring. Parts like roots and rhizomes should be collected only after the seed shading. Underground parts should be collected with minimum possible digging. When the roots are propagated vegetatively in natures are collected, enough underground parts should be left. It must be ensured that underground parts are thoroughly washed and thereafter dried. Okay, so that should be the precaution we have to take. You can see here these are the ashwagandha roots while going through various phases and after it is become dried. What should we can do for the entire whole plants or annual herb? So harvesting should be done at a flower bud or flowering stage, but prior to any visual decline in any of the plant parts. Annual, especially small herb, creeper, grasses are more prone to contamination as well as cross contamination. It is easier to sort the annuals immediately after the collection rather than after drying. Aromatic plants and delicate parts like pistil or stamens of the other plants should not be dried in a direct sunlight. Then regarding with the stem bark should not be harvested when the tree is under new growth like spring season. The bark should be collected from the mature branches of the tree, leaving the main trunk intact. You can see here how they are collecting the branch, that is the bark. Then girdling of tree or branches by removing the bark all the way around should not be done. The bark should be split in pieces of appropriate size to ensure complete drying. Okay, so that care you have to take while collecting the stem bark. You can see here this is the stem bark, how it is collected. Then collection of leaves, the mature, so that precaution we have to take once we have harvest that population. Okay, that's why we have to study them, these parts, what should we can do in the post harvesting ways. So collection of leaves, the matured leaves should be collected before their flowering unless otherwise specified. The source plant should not be ripped off the leaves completely. Certain percentage of leaves should be left to ensure normal physiological process. Generally, leaves should not be dried in a direct sunlight, should be turned periodically to facilitate faster and even drying. When environmental conditions are stressful for the plant, leaf harvesting should be postponed or should be harvested in lesser quantity. You can see here this is the aloe vera plants has been collected, leaves of the aloe vera has been collected from the field and allowed for the drying. Okay, in the same way you can see here various leaves which are at the stage of the drying. Then processing, what procedure we have to do after once it get harvested and bring from the field. Certain medicinal plant need to be processed before use, so as to, so how can, what we have to do, make the drug, so what it will benefit us, make the drug more potent or diminish its toxicity, eliminate unwanted properties or adverse side effect, improve the smell and the taste of the drug for the ease of the administration, assure better storage and the shelf life. So first steps that we have to do, that is called as water processing. Water treatment is employed to soften medicinal plants for easy cutting or to eliminate toxicity and reduce the potency of the drug. Washing, medicinal plants are washed clean, but washing must not be too prolonged. Soaking, medicinal plant may be soaked to eliminate any unpleasant smell or reduce their bitterness. Rinsing, cool or hot water is poured over the medicinal plant, which are then left to dry. Uh, uh, they will then be easier to peel or cut into slices. Precipitations, pounded plants are dissolved in water. The solution is then stirred well before being left to form a precipitate. The water is then dried off, leaving a powder deposits. Okay. Then steaming. A double steamer is loaded with medicinal plant which are cook by the hot steam rising from the bottom portion. Boiling, medicinal plants are boiled with water or the juice of the other plants over a low fire until they are cooked. Tempering, medicinal plants are exposed to very high temperature and then immediately quench in a cold water or juice from the another plant. Decoction, plants are boiled in a water to extract the active principle. The water is then evaporated to leave the concentrate of the active substrate. Distillation, a liquid is turned to vapor by heating. The vapor is then cooled and condensed and recollect. This process is usually applied in essential oil production. Storage guideline. Medicinal plants must be kept under good condition of storage in order to preserve their properties. There are many factors that may affect the quality of the medicinal plant. Moisture. The excessive moisture causes fungal molds or the pest to develop in the herb. Okay, and that's why we have to uh, what we can say, we have to care always should be taken. So we have to avoid the moisture conditions for a longer period. Okay, we have to prefer a dried area for that. So you can take a screenshot of this again, which is again a good slide, and we will come back on the slide again. Just take a screenshot and just wait. Because this at the end we have set a quiz, and that's why that will helpful you uh, to answer that questions. Okay, so that's why I am making a pause in the middle and says you that just take a screenshot for that. Okay, so let's come back again. So I think everyone has finished this tasks. So that is very natural that whenever we put any food material or food stuff, we should prefer a dry condition to avoid such kind of insect and pest infection, that fungal or bacterial infection. And it should be a airtight packaging, as it can be done in wooden box, drum, likewise. Okay. So you can see here how it will results into a shade drying, and once it get dried, how it will look like. Then temperature, so temperature should be in the range of 8 to 25 degree. The optimum temperature for the medicinal herbs is at 25 degrees Celsius. High temperature, what it basically do, high temperature evaporate the essential oil contents in the herb and also decompose lipid containing herb, giving them a sharp bitter taste. Okay, and that's why it is very essential to keep the temperature within a range of 8 to 25 degrees Celsius. Transport must be fast and prompt. Loading and unloading must be done in a shady and cool places. When stored, herb must be periodically moved, sorted and graded. Okay. Shelf life. Prolonged shelf storage is a labor consuming and may lead to deteriorations deteriorations in quality. It is recommended that the stored herb be disturbed every year as a new crop becomes available. Storage packaging. Okay, so appropriate packaging material, dust free and waterproof, should be used. uh, Herbal drugs are usually kept in a fire sacks or red bags. Seeds prone to infections by pest and insect or essential oils containing herbs are packed in a wooden case. Then precious atoms are stored with desiccants in hermetically scaled tin boxes. Okay, these are the packaging. You can see here, these are the photographs. You can show where it can be packed. Factor affecting the quality of the herb product: conservation measure, protection against light, low temperature, low humidity, suitable packing type, then correct tag that can be uh, de-evaluate or that can be reduce the quality of the medicinal plants. You can see here how you can store it. These are some of the images. So warehouses are there which are the control. We are having a control condition and clean atmosphere, so that should be a prefer for the storage of the medicinal plants. Okay, so which will increase the lifespan and longer life, and it will keep the quality and the essential oil content in a very good stage as it can be in a living plants. So these are the some again additional storage guidelines as far as medicinal plants is concerned. Okay, so you can read it. It should be avoid medicinal plant should be stored in a dedicated storehouse constructed in such a way that as to avoid the entry of rodents, bird and other animals, and should be free from dampness, dirt and dust. The store house should have provision for keeping approved, rejected and untested lots separately with appropriate signboards. Then properly sealed and labeled containers of medicinal plant products should be kept preferably on wooden plates, pallets at cooling and dry place. Never stack the container, especially gunny bag, jute bags, woven sacks, a corrugated box directly on the floor. Okay. So these are the various implementable products like resin, gum resin oil should be stored at an isolated place. You can read it and you can find out how we can do best while taking a care for storing the medicinal plants. Okay. Even though if suppose the plant is having an ornamental oils, so look at here, each lot of the produce should have its shelf life clearly marked on its label, and produce should be used within the valid shelf life period. Is it right? Otherwise what will happen, if the shelf life become lost, you will not get that much medicinal content from that plant. It will exhausted or it will evaporated. You can see here. Okay. Okay, so thank you. So this is how the entire lectures regarding with the storage, post harvesting storage and protections of a medicinal plants. Okay, so thank you very much. Thank you friends.